So this is a really simple project. The only thing we're really going to need for it are 3 8-foot 2x4s and two 12-foot 2x4s, which we're going to rip in half, which will be the perches. 3 carriage bolts and some locking nuts, a drill and some screws. Of course, saws to saw the lumber. But let's get started. All right, to get started here, this is going to fold flat against this wall for when we want to clean the coop out. And when it's not, it'll pull out and stand. The feet of it will stand somewhere not quite in the center of the coop. You want to give enough room for your framing, since we're using 2x4s that measures 3.5 inches wide. So I'm just going to go out. I'm going to go out 3 inches from where it'll sit flat against the wall. I'm just going to make a little mark. Three inches out. And then I want them all to be the same so that it swings nicely. I'm going to make them 3 inches to the center of that hole. Right there. And we're just going to drill a 1/4 inch hole because I got 1/4 inch carriage bolts. Actually, 4.5 inch carriage bolts are what I'm using because I've got rough lumber, which is a little thicker. So that'll be one end. And we'll do one in the middle and one on the far end. And these will be the upright legs. So again, I'm just going to go 3 inches out, 3 inches up. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you can use a level, make sure it's plumb. And we're good right there. So that's the center. Drill that hole out. And we'll do the same thing for the far end. Again, same thing here. Now, if you don't have open rafters like this, you could devise something else. Just kind of use common sense, but maybe make some blocking or something that I can hang off of. With these open rafters in our coop, it's pretty simple. To get the length of the support pieces, I'm simply going to measure up from the floor to that hole. I want to be a little bit past it because I want the hole right on the top. So then I'm going to subtract 6 inches so that it hangs 6 inches off the floor. So in my case, I have 74 inches. So we'll make that 68 inches on these upright legs. So let's go cut some lumber. So we're going to cut all 3 of our legs at that 68 inch mark, or in your case, it's going to probably be different than in mine. But if you follow that same basic formula, should give you the length you need. So now we want to make the marks for the holes, which will line up with the holes that we drilled in the rafters where these will hang. So we know that the hole's got to be 2 inches down because that's the space I gave it. And then you want to be half of your 2x4. So they measure 3.5 inches. So we want to do half of that. Inch and 3/4, 2 inches down, inch and 3/4, center of that hole. Now we'll drill these. Just try to keep the drill as straight as possible, up and down, side to side. Now we're ready to hang these. We'll go back in and get these hung on the carriage bolts. Now these bolts are going to fit very snugly in these holes, so you'll have to use a hammer, drive them through. They shouldn't go super hard, but you want to seal them right into the wood because the carriage bolt has a head on it that's got to drive into the wood. And same thing again when we're lining up these holes. You can just start that. And just drive it through. I'll tighten these up after, but I have a washer going on and then a locking nut, which has a plastic insert, just so it doesn't spin off because I don't want to over tighten it. I'll do that after, but this piece will fold out, and the 3 legs together will fold out nicely and have little feet to stand down to the floor. And of course, don't mind the chickens. They're already exploring their new space here. They were actually, as I was framing this new coop edition, they were all right up in here the whole time, landing all over it. So they seem to be liking it. That should work really nicely. And now we'll go ahead and tighten down those nuts and washers, and then we'll do the next step. I'm just using an adjustable wrench for this part because it's what I had handy in my truck. We'll just tighten these down. You get them snug, but you don't want to over tighten them because you don't want this to bind. You want it to swing freely. Now for the next step, I know I want this to finish up about here. So I'm just gonna, it's not exact for me, it doesn't matter too much. I just don't want it to block the door. So I'm gonna just get a length on these. I'm gonna call it 20 inches length of the legs. We'll cut 3 20-inch pieces and then drill the holes and get the carriage bolts in those. I'll show you how that goes together. All right, so I've cut the 20-inch pieces, 3 of them, which will be the legs. We'll go ahead and get these drilled and the carriage bolts driven through. Now, to get the hole location, I'm going to pull this out to where I want it to finish up, roughly. Right there, so I'm going to measure up, I'm going to say 4 inches on these and drill straight through both of them. So again, center of the piece, both ways. So 4 inches, then 1 3/4 is half of a 2x4. And same thing, you want to make sure these holes are nice and straight when you drill them. Same thing on this, up 4 inches, and then centered. Go ahead and drill that out. Drill this out. Grab another carriage bolt. Again, to drive that through. There. And that'll end up standing just about where I want it. And we'll tighten that after. Now I can go ahead and drill the rest of these out. And of course, anytime you're drilling or using power tools, or really even a hammer, you should be wearing safety glasses. And that's the basic layout. And I'm going to add three runs of perches to these to give our birds plenty of room. But the legs will fold up flat for cleaning, and then the whole unit will swing back. So you just have to fold those up and then swing it right back. And you got to be sure in this next step that you make your perch only go as far as your edge, at least on the bottom one, because otherwise when you fold this, it won't allow it to swing all the way around. All right, now to get your length on these pieces, it's important that you measure your top outside to outside. Make note of the middle dimension as well, because you're going to want to mark your pieces so that they all land squarely. I'll show that in a minute. But for right now, we're going to get the length of our 3 perches. I hope I can fit 3 on this one, but we'll find out. So I've got 113 inches. So I want to cut all 3 that same size. And these are going to be a 2x2, so basically I'm going to rip a 2x4 in half and then cut them to that length. I lost my lead cord. So half of a 2x4 we know is 1 3/4 inches. So we're gonna set the blade centered on 1 3/4 inches. Center of the blade. That'll give us a nice even. It doesn't have to be exact anyway, but I like to do things the right way. All right. So there, now that we have our 3 pieces, we'll go ahead and cut them to length. It's 138 3/4 was my size. And of course you can make these however big you want. Of course I forgot the measurement. It was actually 113 3/4 for anyone that's paying attention. Oh, that was one I already cut. Now we'll go ahead and screw these in. We're just about done. All right, now I've got some low roosting birds, so the low perch is going to be okay for them. We've got some Brahmas that don't like to fly very high. So to start with here, we're going to take some screws. We're just going to do the 2 ends. We're going to do 1 piece. Where to put my impact. Well, I did find my impact, so we're in business. Put these on. These should flush up with the outside of the 2x on the outside. Get a close up of that. Flush right up with the outside, and same thing on the other end. And I'm going to set it right at the level of the leg for the first one. And these you want to pull these in so they're flush. Just want to make sure everything folds properly. And if it doesn't, you just move it up a little. It looks like we're good. Now the middle support, you're going to want to get this measurement from the top hook on the outside of that 2x4 to the inside of this one. That's 64 inches. You want to do the same thing here. So you got to mark this at 64 and then move it over until you're on that line. That way everything is parallel and swings properly. One screw in each seems to be enough. We've had the other one for quite a while in the big coop, and one screw is all I put in, and it's really holding up fine. These are very sturdy. So now you can just space these apart. I know I don't want it all the way at the ceiling, but I think I'll go up. I have 4'3". I think I'll just do one at. I'll do one at the halfway point. 25 and a half. Yeah, I'll do one there, and then one a little further up. Now we're gonna make it 4 feet or 2 feet. So you just make your marks. And whatever you want the perch to be set at, and just line it up, make sure your perch is all on the same side of that line. Again, I'm going to do the ends first. Helps if you start a screw before you get it up into place. Again, with constructing anything, you just want to make sure your measurements are all consistent so things stay square. Of course, there's a knot in this piece, so it might go through kind of hard. Oh. And again, we just got to line that up. Screw it in. Now we're going to add one more here, and I think I'll put it I'm going to go 20 inches up on this one. It's good if you have the room to build these so they come out further. That way the birds have more area to not poop on each other. It's kind of the idea with staggering these out. They do work. They do work really good. This one's a little cramped because this is just a small addition on the chicken house. Now again, same thing, just 3 screws, really all you need. Do the 2 ends again. And then do the middle. In this case, I've got to pull it down a little bit because there's a little bit of a bow in the framing. And there you have it. This thing is ready for the birds to roost on tonight. I'll go ahead and show you how this thing folds. I'm sure you could probably figure it out at this point, but these just swing up. Just like that, and then the whole unit folds real nice right against the wall, right out of the way, and then you can shovel out the coop, clean it out, and then pull it back out. Really a fan of this system. I'll go ahead and show you guys the other folding perch in the big coop. So in the big coop, it's quite a lot bigger. There's actually 4 runs, and it comes out a good distance. Of course, the ceiling's a lot higher in here too. It's a full 8-foot ceiling in this one, but this comes right out, and they have plenty of room. They're spaced out enough to really kind of perch nicely on. They spend a fair amount of time in here, even though they've got a whole field. They're in here quite a bit during the day. A lot of them like shade. All right, well, that's it for this video. Be sure to stay tuned for the next one. And if you liked this video and found some value in it, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Have a good day.